Attention, everybody. The views and opinions expressed on the show are not necessarily those of Axe Ministry, Axe Media Group, and or their affiliate and subordinate ministries and or nonprofits. Void where prohibited. See for store for details. Not available in studios. He's like those. Anyways.
The fastest talker, you know, that guy.
Oh,
he passed away. That guy that did the cars.
Can you imagine having to do his eulogy? All right. Good morning. Coming to you live from Axe Media Group headquarters here to beautiful Springfield, Missouri. It's the Morning Drive and Matt and Jay with your hosts, Matt and Jay, and Steve. And there's Steve. Beautiful day in the neighborhood. Hopefully it doesn't get all cloudy like it did yesterday.
No, it's supposed to be sunny all day.
It was supposed to be sunny all day yesterday.
That's true. Good point. Just saying. Right.
Today's title, Now What? I heard that a lot growing up, but not in the same context, I don't think.
No. I've heard that not in the same context either. What do you expect me to do? Now what?
All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Morning Drive with Matt and Jay. My name is Matt.
My name is Jay.
My name is Steve.
We're glad to have everybody on board with us today. It's, again, a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Today's topic, Now What? Now, that could mean a bunch of different things.
Right.
Like, for instance, when I was a kid, and I was going through these night terrors, and I was suffering from PTSD, there's no doubt. And Dad was also quitting smoking at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
And I would wake him up in the middle of the night like 3 or 4 times because I get night terrors.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago? Is that what you said?
No, I said, was it that long ago?
Yeah.
Uncle Bruce quit smoking a long time ago.
Wow,
yeah,
really?
Yeah. And, well, this is before he had his heart attack.
Yeah.
But he was trying to quit smoking. So he had been a couple days without it, and it didn't help him any, me waking him up 2 or 3 times.
He wasn't very patient.
No, he was super patient.
Well, he was patient, but he
in
lost
hindsight,
his patience.
Yeah, in hindsight, I don't know if I would have been that patient. So I'm like, here's how it would go. Like, everybody's in bed. It's like 12 o'clock, midnight, 1 o'clock. And you hear from the other end of the house, Dad.
Like a dripping water out of the... You know what I
And then
mean?
you hear it again, Dad.
Like the annoyance.
And then no answer. Dad. What? That's what he only did that in one time. I had to move my head away from the microphone for that one.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
So now what is this about?
Now what? That's one of the contextual descriptions of what.
Right.
Another thing we were talking about is, the city is going to be opening up on Monday. Mm-hmm. Now what?
Yeah, exactly.
Now what? What's next?
What's next?
Okay, so, and then I had a conversation. We've had conversations in the last couple of days about my ongoing anxiety issues.
Symptoms, yeah.
Yes.
And they're terrible. Last night, the worst anxiety attack yet.
Ever in your life, you think?
I believe so. Well,
Yeah, the way you described it.
The first one was really bad. It was probably close to it, but that's only because I had never had one before this point.
So what do you think? You started to have a better understanding of what this was you were experiencing.
Yeah, otherwise I would not have. Something had to give because this was not.
The symptoms were severe.
Good morning, Julie.
The symptoms are severe.
Yeah.
I mean, some symptoms are worse than others. Some people just feel short of breath or
Do
whatever.
you think understanding the symptoms helped you?
Yes.
Hello?
Oh, she was bringing us cookies.
Oh.
Well, bless your heart.
Thank you very much. We are.
You just stopped by to bring us cookies.
Yeah. This is the rest of.
I'm
Thank
Jay.
you so much.
Thank you.
This is Jay, and that is Steve, and I'm Matt. We do podcasts in the mornings here.
Well, sorry to interrupt you.
Oh no,
you didn't.
we are very laid back here.
Yeah.
Yes, I am super happy. Thank you so much.
You just made Matt's day.
You did. I love cookies, and they're chocolate chip. I asked for
Oh.
chocolate chip. Thank you. What business do you work for?
I'm a care manager and I have a home care.
Okay, we can mention your business one of these days. You come down and tell us about it.
Okay, well have a good day.
You too. Well, that's awesome.
I want one.
You are
Wow.
getting one.
I want one, please.
She said she makes these with dark chocolate chips.
Obviously, look at that.
Oh, wow.
They're dark chocolate chips.
Honey,
and,
you're missing out. No.
Oh my goodness, those look good.
Oh yeah, and what happened was I let her in the door yesterday.
Should
Go
we
ahead and
wait?
grab
Do
you
we
one.
have time?
Yeah, no, we got time.
Oh my goodness, and they got some kind of
Go ahead and grab you one.
walnuts in them.
Yep,
Or
that's what it
yeah.
looks like.
Walnuts.
Mm-mm.
And
See?
she didn't have her key, and she was bringing stuff in, and she was she had told the security guard downstairs that she didn't have her key to get back in, and he had went upstairs for something, right? And so she was sitting there waiting for him, and it was kind of chilly yesterday. But
And coconut.
what I got to get on the air here.
Julie said, hello, guys. Good morning. And hello, cookie lady.
Hello,
Yeah,
Cookie
I'm
Lady.
not on the air either.
We're slacking. We got distracted by.
Well, I better save one for Rachel because Rachel said she wanted one. Morning, Scott.
So you did a good deed and somebody returned it. Even
Yeah, but she said, "Oh, well, you're not getting." She's told him, the security guard, "Well, you're not getting cookies anymore. I'm giving them to him." And we were talking in the elevator. I was like, "I like chocolate chip, by the way." And I thought, I didn't know she was actually going to do it. So now I got to make her some barbecue brisket or something and bring it up there. So
Of course.
great start. You guys are going to be quiet
Morning,
now.
Scott.
Oh, wait,
so
here
you
we go.
did a good deed and somebody returned it. Even
Yeah, but well, you're not getting. She's told him, the security guard. Well, you're not getting. Okay, so there we go. We have a convoy of hope truckload of food at the Northwest Baptist Church, and we'll be handing it out May the 10th at noon. If I'm off work, Larry, you can count me there to help hand out. Good morning, Jonathan Kretzman. Saw him last night. He was there while I was in the middle of my full-on panic attack. He was there. And he was telling me about. People were just listening to me and being supportive and not saying anything to make it worse. Barney was up there. Barney came up to say hi. He was really worried. He called me at like 1:00 after he was already in bed, obviously. But he wanted to call and make sure I was okay before he went to sleep. Bless
Right.
his heart. I love that man. So yeah, I haven't even tried one of these yet. They look really good. They got coconut in them too,
Yes, they got walnuts and they
and
get.
cinnamon. I'm smelling cinnamon.
I was definitely. There's coconut. There's definitely
so
coconut.
much in
walnuts.
those. So much in those. Oh my.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know.
what?
That is the perfect kind of cookie. You each bite you start
Melinda, I'm sorry. I'm not saying these are better, but they're as good.
They are interesting because there's so much in them that the flavors emerge. And you start each.
It's got
you chew on this and more
oatmeal,
and
coconut,
more. Yeah.
dark chocolate chips.
I got a raisin in one of mine. I'm pretty sure a raisin or a date.
I thought I tasted the raisin.
Well, she's raising the bar.
Yes,
a raisin
that
in the
is.
bar.
I love when people cook like that. I'd like to see what she makes for.
And there's
actual-
little crunchy somethings
dinners.
in there. Little crunchy somethings that I don't know what they are.
Yeah, I couldn't. I wasn't sure either. Good. I know that.
The texture, the taste, everything.
Everything that you're tasting that's in here, you can taste. Actually, you can taste all the ingredients.
There's a party in my face right now.
Yeah.
You can hear
So-
it. See, listen.
we were asking. So the topic was about anxiety and identifying it, knowing the symptoms, and what kind of tools that you can use when the symptoms emerge and come on so strong that you were almost overwhelmed. You were telling me.
I was overwhelmed.
You were going to have to leave.
Yeah, I was going to go call my boss and get him to come in and work while I went to the ER.
And somebody helped you.
Good morning, Jonna. Wow. I would say no one person in particular, but I was at my moment where I didn't know what was going to happen. I was freaking out so bad, and I was like, "Wait a minute, all right." And I stopped and I breathed for a second, and then I looked up the symptoms of anxiety so I could separate out the symptoms that are going on in my head. So I figured if I can find what's causing it, maybe I can figure out how to stop the full-on panic attack.
Or if there was a way you could treat yourself successfully right now without anything
Right.
outside.
No, she made these, Steve. So I pull out my phone and I'll go ahead and read what I read last night.
Are you going to do the check marks?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Does that make it better?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm going to go through. There's quite an extensive list here, but it goes into detail of some of the worst symptoms. Psychological symptoms may include feelings of apprehension or dread. Check. Feeling restless or irritable. Check. Tense or jumpy. Check. Sorry, I'm going to finish chewing this and then so you guys aren't hearing me go.
Or anybody else.
Constantly watching for signs of danger. Physical symptom. So constantly watching for signs of danger. I think psychologically, the mental part, I was like examining my body, like my heart rate, my dizziness, stuff like that.
And with the illness going around and the extreme spectrum of symptoms you can get from that, you've had some. You had some pain in your face from your sinuses.
Yeah.
And it's
it made
respiratory.
And it made me loopy, like kind of.
Right, so you're concerned about some of these symptoms maybe being part of this illness that you might have.
Absolutely.
So you're concerned, you're scared.
All right, so I'm scared, exactly. Rapid or pounding heartbeat. That's another symptom that it is really scary. Because you're like, why is my heart beating so fast? Well, that's because your brain is injecting a bunch of adrenaline and what's the other stuff? Cortisol into your system. That's making you feel like you're in a fight or flight mode, but there's nothing to fight or fly from. So it's really frustrating. Shortness of breath, excessive sweating, tremors, twitches, headache, fatigue or weakness, insomnia, nausea or upset stomach, frequent urination or diarrhea. All right, so here's the ones that really, according to the Anxiety and Depression Association of America, it also involves 4 or more of the following symptoms. Palpitations, pounding heart or accelerated heart rate. Check. Sweating. Check. Trembling or shaking. Check. Sensations of shortness of breath or smothering. Check. Feelings of choking, and I didn't know how to explain that.
Sorry,
feeling.
Larry. I'm
Yes.
trying not to chew into the microphone.
Now here's me chewing too. So chest pain or discomfort. Feeling dizzy, unsteady, lightheaded, or faint. Check, check, check. Chills or heat sensations. Yes. Now you can see with all these symptoms that I had that it would also seem like you might have COVID as well, because a lot of these are the
Exactly.
same symptoms. Paresthesia, numbness or tingling sensation is what that is, and that's true. I had that because, of course, your heart rate is pumping so fast. Now, here's the one that really, I think, caused it to accelerate into full-on panic attack. Derealization, feelings of unreality or depersonalization, being detached from oneself. Now, that's not exactly what you might think it is. Now, you have fear of losing control, check. Fear of dying, of course. That's why you're, okay, and you don't know what to do.
Well, because your body's taking some pretty extreme turns.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
getting hit from left and right.
Researchers
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that panic attacks come about because of the brain telling the body that the fight or flight response, which includes rapid heartbeat, shallow breathing, should kick in, even though there may be no threat at all. Scientists also theorize that amygdala, which is the brain's fear processing hub, may also be activated during a panic attack. So, yeah, that's true. They may come because of a particular event, or they may come on for no reason at all. It's been estimated that almost 23% of the people have at least one panic attack in their lifetime. If your panic attacks are recurring, you are likely to be diagnosed with a panic disorder. Panic disorders is a type of anxiety disorder that's characterized by persistent worry about future panic attacks or their consequences. So, and that's what causes it. Because if I know I'm getting ready to have a panic attack, that causes me to go into a panic attack.
Right.
Right.
But
So,
I think there's some triggers though that might cause some anxiety that then escalates into a full-blown panic attack. But once it reaches the point of being an actual panic attack, so you've checked enough of those boxes, your body's responding full-on panic attack. Well, then as each of those symptoms emerge, you become more fearful that something's going wrong with your body right now. Right?
yeah.
And then that fear escalates, and so then another symptom of this panic attack emerges.
Yeah, it's a domino effect
And
or a snowball effect.
Yeah, snowball effect, and that as that one emerges, it doesn't just all of a sudden you can feel a little bit of it,
Morning, Kevin.
but now your anxiety's growing, so the symptom is
Get worse, yeah.
intensifying.
My phone and my watch have been misinterpreting my heart rate. So I'll be sitting. I'll be just sitting there, not doing anything, but having a panic attack, and my watch will say, "Keep it up," and have a little running man on it, meaning your heart rate, a workout is detected.
Yeah.
So
Definitely a workout.
Yeah.
after I went through all that and I finally got myself calm, my energy was completely zapped, or that could have been.
How'd you get yourself calm? You said something about counting. Did somebody tell you
Yes,
about that?
well, a lady said she had anxiety attacks a lot, and she said her doctor told her it's all in your head.
So it's about
It's about
perceived threats,
it's about controlling your brain.
physiology.
Yeah, and she said he said she would get sick, like, and get the the bowel discomfort and the all that stuff, and the doctor even told her that's in your head. You make yourself sick like that because you think about it so much.
Yeah.
And then she said, I count. I said, what do you mean count? She goes, 1, 2, 3, 4. I count. So I said, okay, thank you. I'll try that. I was willing to try anything at this point because on top of that, there was a bunch of trucks coming in.
Because so your anxiety is so severe at this point. You have so many of these symptoms. They're all each symptom is escalating to an overwhelming level by itself.
Right.
But now
Causing
they're
other-
also compiling them.
Causing other symptoms.
Yeah.
So,
Thinking you're going to have to go home. This is so bad.
no, I thought I was going to go to the hospital and die. I was
and
worried
so this
about
lady
death.
says to count.
Yeah, she said count. And so I did. I started counting out loud, but not really that loud. I was doing my job and I was going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not counting anything in particular, just doing a
And
rhythm.
the truck drivers hopefully weren't watching you thinking that you're
Yeah, right. Thinking
making a list of things that they're going to be responsible for.
so, right, exactly.
What? 100? Wait a minute.
So I got to 100.
Exactly.
I got to 100, and then I started from 1 again. And you know what? It actually did help. It didn't calm me down completely 100%, but it did help.
It helps you in
started the
treating the
process.
symptoms.
Yes.
Reducing the symptoms.
And with each
reducing-
symptom that you get rid of,
another one
another one starts to get worked on.
decreases in
Yeah.
in intensity.
So you're counting for each episode or each problem that you're having. You started over.
Well, this
For
wasn't
each-
treating the problems; it was treating the symptoms.
Yes.
Or
So
each symptom that you had, you counted for those symptoms.
Because at this point,
to
the
reduce their
anxiety attack
intensity.
itself, at this point, the anxiety attack itself was causing the anxiety attack itself.
Yeah.
Well, I wish I would have remembered that because now that I can think of the word, I had hyperventilation syndrome.
Yeah, well, that's part of anxiety. That's another form of anxiety.
And so that's
It's
what they
another symptom.
diagnosed me with was hyperventilation syndrome, and it got to the point where all of a sudden I started having these seizure-like activities, and that's where the pseudo-seizures came in. And then they got worse and worse and worse to the point where I was debilitated for months. And then I was fine up until after Rachel and I got married, and we've been only married a couple of years. Then, bam, it happened again. Only this time I went into what the psychiatrist said, or the psychologist, was a dissociative disorder. I was thinking I went back to a 5-year-old boy, and I didn't even know I was married. And Rachel had to pull out the wedding album and show me how old I was and what was going on. And I just thought she was a nice lady just hanging out at the house. And I was calling for my aunts who had been gone, or one had been gone for a while. And so, it gets really scary.
It does.
When you have that dissociative disorder, because you're hyperventilating, and then you have this seizure disorder, and then you go and retract into a 5-year-old kid, wow.
Morning,
So
Jim.
let me get this straight. As these anxiety symptoms emerge and then intensify, they bring on a new level, a new symptom that is more maybe bizarre or unusual in a way that makes
Yeah.
you think something's really even more wrong.
Larry
'cause
says
they're unusual.
Larry says he gets all the symptoms, plus his back is killing him, and his hands shake. He says, and I can't see as well. Now that's another thing. My vision blurred slightly a couple times.
I had blurred vision.
He said, I can't go to the hospital. They won't let me in. Jim Whining joined, and then
So now there's something really going wrong with you, and that's very fearful. And it's
Yeah.
physical. Something's going wrong with my body that I need to live.
yeah, and and Steve Schultz is right. Said it took your mind off of it. Counting
Reduces.
takes your mind off of it, because that's the problem is your brain is processing all these potential threats that it's imagining.
Yeah, that's why I wish I would have been able to count, but I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, and it just
Now, some threats are real, and
Yeah,
some
some threats are real.
anxiety is required. You want to be anxious around a snake,
Exactly.
a venomous snake even more.
It's an automatic for that.
You want
Or
to be
any
anxious
dangerous
around a
animal.
vicious dog.
Any animal that's going to be vicious, and especially if they're foaming at the mouth.
You want to be anxious if you lose your job.
sucks. Yeah, or if you're worried about losing your job, you do
You
need
wa-
to be anxious about that stuff.
You want to be anxious if you have parents who are elderly and this COVID-19 thing's going around
Absolutely.
that could threaten their lives. You want to be anxious about these things because fight or flight means you're either going to run or you're going to stand and face it and be prepared to fight. But here's what, so with this hidden enemy, as the president calls it, and this anxiety that you're getting and feeling, one of the major sources of anxiety, because life by itself, when everything's going well, is full of reasons to be anxious. But normally, those challenges can easily be met. As soon as you become aware that there's a problem, you feel anxiety, because that's natural, and you're supposed to feel anxiety about things. And that tells you, hey, I need to either get out of here or face it and do something. Both are doing something about it. One is getting away from it as far as you can, and one is facing it and doing something about it.
Right.
So those are normal anxieties that are good because they can save your life. They can keep you from financial disaster. They can keep you from your parents getting sick, or yourself getting sick. All of those anxieties are good, right? So here's what I'm saying is when you have an anxiety like this illness that's going around, you're powerless.
Yeah,
And
There's nothing you can do.
it's coming and it's threatening you.
yeah,
And there's nothing you can do to avoid that possible threat. It is in your mind because unless you actually are sick with it or your parents actually are sick with it or your imagined worst case scenario is not actually upon you.
right.
So
But at that point, it's fantasy.
Just imagining how bad it can get is a big source of anxiety that snowballs out of control. But here's the thing. Identifying what those threats are, because sometimes you feel all this stuff from these threats and you're not actually able to identify what it actually is that's threatening you and what kind of response you can have to it that can reduce your anxiety, that can prepare you better for what might come, prepare yourself better for the worst case scenario. And if you think it through, or even talk to somebody and get some help, thinking about a plan and what you might do, you can reduce the anxiety of the perceived threat and be prepared for it if that does happen. But you can also take action right now that's real action. Mm-hmm. And when we talked about it, I know that talking to Matthew over this time that the COVID-19 is broken out, he's very concerned for his parents and their health. Right?
And as he should be.
Also, as he should be concerned for his own health,
Yeah.
Because he's a high risk factor in some ways. So you're concerned about these things, right?
Yeah.
But you don't know. If you come in contact with this and it gets in your body, it could thrive and make you sick.
Right.
So what do you do about it? Okay. One, we should follow the rules. We should follow the rules that they've given us that would reduce the risk of our actually getting it. So that is to stay 6 feet apart from any other human being. You want to stay a 6-foot distance away, especially those you don't know who are not within your circle. Right? And what are some of the other ones that they say? Wash your hands frequently. Wash surfaces frequently that are frequently used, and that could transmit the virus.
Right.
So those are all things that we should do. But also, consider the fact that you could get it and get sick. How would you prepare for that? When you think about all the other things like our economy tanking, then what are you going to do? So what I proposed to Matthew that helped him reduce his anxiety is, look, we can't all just go to the grocery store and today buy everything that we would need to survive 2 or 3 months of this, or even a year or 18 months. We just don't have it. And if we did have it, and we did go out and buy those things, we would be broke right now. And
Yeah.
so tomorrow we might be prepared for the perceived
The new
threat.
anxiety is where am I getting?
How am I going to pay the utilities?
Yeah.
So if it wasn't for the stimulus check, where would we be?
So the number one thing I think to do
Wear
is
masks,
to
that's
remain calm as you can, because anxiety would mean you can't remain calm. But try to remain calm and assemble a plan of attack, a plan to meet the challenges you're facing without creating a new challenge that could be worse. Because you can prepare for a perceived threat so much so that you are causing yourself an actual threat right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what I proposed was, Matt, you're concerned about getting COVID, so follow the rules that they've given us. It's the best you can do.
Yeah.
You still got to live. Prepare for the fear that the economy may tank and that you may get it. Okay, so what does it mean if the economy tanks? Well, when you go to the store, buy 1 or 2 cans of non-perishable things, maybe a bag of rice or a bag of beans, right? So you have some supply for.
Right.
You could ration that and make it last a week or even more.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, so put that in a container and put it under the bed or put it somewhere where it's safe. Then you have to be concerned about other things like what if you have the illness, right? What kind of things are you going to need? What kind of over-the-counter medications can you use to treat yourself for the illnesses that you already suffer with and already take medication for?
Yeah.
Don't buy everything on the shelf. Buy one.
Yeah.
Put it in the box.
Make sure it's an expectorant.
Yeah.
To help, because that's the leading cause of death in the with the COVID is pneumonia
Right.
Right.
caused by this virus, and it's basically fluid buildup in your lungs.
And it
So what
turns
would
to
you
jello.
buy
You
to
would-
be prepared for something
You'd
like
buy an expectorant.
that? Expectorant,
Right.
antihistamines, cough drops.
Yep.
So that you're not spreading it,
Right.
right? Because you want to not just be concerned for your own health, but the health of other people. If you get it, you don't want to spread it,
Right.
and you don't want to suffer such severe symptoms that you may die from it. So you buy those things. Your father has a heart problem. Buy a bottle of Baby Bear aspirin. Now you're starting to assemble a kit that you know is going to help you at least for a short period of time. You have it.
Right.
You're prepared for it.
Also, a book on medicinal plants that grow.
That can help. Yeah,
That's-
those are
I
expensive.
haven't seen that yet. I
Yeah.
mean, I've been wanting to get one, but I haven't got
And
one yet.
identifying plants is very difficult. Even with a drawing or a photo of a plant, you can still misidentify a plant and take poison instead of medicine.
Yeah.
So you do want to be
True.
careful.
Don't eat the mistletoe.
And if there is
Or
a
poison
s-
ivy.
if there is a sister plant that may be poisonous, don't even try to identify it.
Right.
Unless you have a professional who knows with you instructing you.
Also, mushroom identification.
Yeah.
Those are good.
Exactly.
Because, I mean,
But now we're talking about
Mushrooms can
more
be bad if you're
apocalyptic.
not
Those are
careful.
more apocalyptic.
oh,
I'm
that's
talking
also,
about,
yeah, you're right. But,
and who could prepare for things to that extreme? But here's some things I'm saying. Get some over-the-counter medications that would help you with what symptoms you would suffer if you did get sick. What things you already have that some over-the-counter medications may relieve to some extent or help somebody else, like your parents. And those things are very inexpensive.
yeah.
There's also, they say if the economy really does completely tank, precious metals are going to be valuable and a form of currency that people will take that you can use to buy goods.
I don't think Bitcoin's one of them.
No. I wouldn't buy the big dollars, silver dollar. I mean, you can go to that extent because you can break them up.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if you have a silver dollar that's actually silver, and that's what you're using to make purchases, the value of actual dollars is still high enough that you really don't need that anyway.
Right.
You know
You
what I
wanna
mean?
go
Because
by
if
the
you're
weight.
using that whole thing to buy stuff, then things still have value. But if the value of money really does tank and you have to use silver, a gram is going to be worth enough to buy something.
Yeah. Now, real quick, before we go any further, I'm going to remind you guys, today's the last day of the dollar for dollar match for
Oh, yeah.
donations. Go to axmediagroup.com, scroll down, so you'll see the donate button on the right, and we take credit cards, debit cards, or PayPal. And after today, everything that is in that particular donation account is going to get doubled, dollar for dollar. So you want whatever you're going to give today to be double what you give. Today's the day to do it. It's the last day to do it. We're asking that you partner up with us to help us to continue to grow these programs, get more programming, first of all, add more hours of operation, and just be able to continue to spread our belief in doing the right thing by serving where needed and spreading the message of unity in Christ through the Holy Spirit. So go on there and check out all the stuff that we have. We have sometimes my brain just forgets
Autism
it.
awareness,
Autism awareness programs,
Kidney
Crosswalk
Fund.
of Hope that helps
Kidney Fund,
prisoner
Crosswalk of
release
Hope.
ministry.
Veterans Church. So there's a whole bunch of stuff on there. There's also the Real News Review. You can read articles written by numerous people, and there's a lot of good stuff on there. So, and that way you can also see what's going on with what we're doing. You can see where your donation is going. So again, today is the last day to be able to do the dollar for dollar match. So
What's the deadline?
Today.
As far as time.
Midnight?
today, yeah, I guess
Midnight?
so. Yeah,
Must be midnight. Midnight,
we'll just say
Eastern?
yeah, probably yeah, be
because
like
most
10
things
o'clock.
go by Eastern.
Probably what? So that would be 10 o'clock our time.
They're 1 hour, so it'd be 11.
11 o'clock our time.
Yep.
If I'm wrong, Jim, please send me a text and give me the deadline. But I think it's
11 o'clock our time.
Because somebody was asking me, and I'm like, I'm not sure, so I thought I'd better ask.
yeah. So go online, check it out, please. We look forward to partnering up with you. You can do a one-time donation, or you can have it come out of your account monthly. But anyways, today we're talking about
And if you're the one doing the matching, consider whatever it was you would cover and continue it until you've spent that much, till you've matched that much, to whatever point in the future that it takes to get to that amount. Whatever you thought you could cover or would cover, consider going ahead and matching until you've spent that amount, that predetermined amount that you could afford to. Because that would be appreciated by us as well.
Well, hello, Bob Monday. Thank you for joining. I've got Jennifer and Diana and
Samsung
Brian.
Health is saying, nice job at staying active.
Yeah. So what about other things? And so now you're talking about medications. You're preparing for any illness that you may get.
Yeah.
You're preparing for the need for food. You've got that stuff started. You also may need some emergency supplies. So what if somebody breaks a bone or has a deep wound and is
First aid
bleeding.
kit.
First aid kit,
a
antibiotic
stocked
ointment, or
first aid kit.
and if you don't have that, you can actually use honey. Has antibiotic properties to
Start
it.
with a cheap one. You can get a first aid kit that's fairly well supplied. But I would also recommend getting a tourniquet.
Kim.
Make sure it includes a tourniquet. Those help with broken bones or deep wounds.
I'll have a lot of honey lately.
Antiseptic. Oftentimes they come with a small amount of antiseptic, so you might want to consider getting a larger amount of antiseptic. Something like a gel that can go underneath a pad or a gauze or
What
something.
that does is keep infection from growing and going
Yes.
into your septic system,
Yeah.
which is
Or
your
buy the
bloodstream.
supplements that we have through Natural Store or
naturalsolutionstore.bz.
.bz. Oh, we can't do that.
I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, we can. No, we can. I mean, it's still up and running, correct, Jim? I believe it's still up and running. Everything's good.
What other things might
I'm
you?
sorry, I couldn't help it.
I know, right?
What other ways can you prepare? Now, see, those things started to give you some relief because you could go out today, start a little kit like that for $25, and each week spend an extra $25. That's $100 in a month. Even go to $5 or $10. Look, you're actually at $5 or $10 a week. You're still actually significantly moving towards the goal that prepares you for that imagined fear and does not now create an immediate problem. So you're not overspending on
Right.
preparing for a perceived threat, and you're not creating for yourself an actual current threat. So
Now-
I would consider those kinds of ways of working towards ways to eliminate your anxiety, reduce it, and be prepared in a way that's going to be useful and helpful. And from that, you're going to begin to feel capable, right? So emotionally, mentally, all of those ways,
Midnight Central Time.
all of those ways that a
thank you, Jim.
person can begin to gain confidence,
Thank you, Pam.
right? You're gaining confidence.
Damn.
Those are good ways to reduce anxiety. You don't have as much reason to be anxious.
Well, I mean, think about it. Panic attacks are caused from not knowing.
Yeah. And then another threat comes up, right? One that doesn't have anything to do with the stuff that you're preparing for. Yes, first you have anxiety, but now you know and you're practicing good and useful and proper ways of managing anxiety. So when you see a new threat, that the things you're prepared for right now would not meet, you can say, look, I've seen this before. What can I do right now? You start to see that threat as it is, a real threat. You just start to assess how much control you have over that threat, which ends up being mostly what you do.
Right.
And then you start to build a plan of action of how to be prepared for that perceived threat when it actually emerges and
Yeah.
comes upon you, without creating a real threat
Make a list.
in
Write things
now
down, too.
by overreacting. So those are ways that I would say to manage your anxiety that could be helpful in managing anxiety right now today in the world we're living in, with the
Morning,
big
Priscilla.
bad threats that we have going on with us right now. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry if
Pe-
I'm
pe-
boring
no,
everybody.
No.
No.
You're doing
There's,
great.
and there's a lot of other things like things that people think about all the time, like
There's PTSD.
yeah. Well, and I think you can get PTSD also from, like, if you see a video that's traumatizing, that can give you some PTSD, and that's why if I see a video that does anything like that, I'll have to unfriend the person that has it on their feed because I don't want to see videos like that.
Yeah.
Because that will cause me. I'm an empathetic person, and then I start putting myself in that situation, which is really, really, causes anxiety in me as well.
So it's just not for military families. I mean, yes, that's where everybody perceives, and that's like it's not a myth, but
It's for trauma. It has nothing to do with military, though military people are more likely to experience trauma
because of the
and be suffering. So they
because
would
of
probably
fighting.
be a
Right.
big risk group, but everybody is at risk of trauma.
Like
Yeah.
I was for a long time. I
Yeah.
had PTSD, and I actually saw that dog, and I had my picture of my dad in that dog's the face of my dad in that dog, and that's why I couldn't hang around German Shepherds. I was scared to death of them. And then when my dad passed away, within a couple months after that, the face from that dog just kind of went away. But then all of a sudden, I was like, German Shepherds aren't that bad. They're really nice if you approach it right, and if you're allowed to.
Now, those are
dogs.
perceived threats,
Right,
Yeah.
right?
right.
So how could you prepare for a perceived threat if you're fearful of dogs?
Carry mace.
That's one good way.
Yep.
Be prepared by having one of those little keychain maces. That's a very good way to be prepared. And now you know that if you actually face that perceived threat and that becomes an actual threat, that you're prepared to meet that
Right.
threat. Another good
Stun
way
guns.
is look at YouTube, right? YouTube is a great resource for learning things. Learn about dog behavior. Learning about dog behavior, which is not infallible, and you can make mistakes, but you've also got the mace to back it up. So go on YouTube and research dog behavior so that you can identify a dog whether or not it's a threat. A dog is not a threat by how it looks. A dog is a threat by how it acts and whether or not it will
Or
bite you.
who trained it to fight, or who trained it to be a watchdog.
There are
Because-
behaviors you can identify, though,
Right.
to understand the behavior of a dog. So understanding actual behavior of a dog will tell you whether or not a dog is acting unlike a dog. So
Right.
you can see that a dog is acting in an unusual way that you can't really identify or assess, and you may say this dog is trained for something other than just being a dog.
Now, the Dog Whisperer, that show does. I mean, a lot of that stuff does work.
That's a way to meet those perceived threats and be prepared for them if they become actual threats. What are other fears we face?
Yeah, I'm not fearful of dogs at all, and even German Shepherds. And I think that's what happened is because when I feared that, I saw the vision of my dad and how he treated me.
Basically, you were afraid. You feared the bringing back up a memory,
right.
reliving that memory.
Yep.
So yeah,
Exposure.
yeah.
How about exposing yourself to not a biased search on the internet of your fear, right? And don't search it as in the context of fear, because you're going to see the worst of it's possible. You already know the worst because you're imagining it, and you're imagining probably worse than it actually would be.
Correct.
So don't research that, but learn a little bit about the thing that you're afraid of. Not how bad that can be, but its actual whole, I don't know the word, but it's I can't think of the word right now, but learn about it so that you
Learn.
can prepare for it.
Because dogs and other animals do sense your fear. Dogs can sense your
They sense your anxiety.
yeah, they can. They can
True,
sense
but
the
then
frustration.
dogs react differently to fear. Some dogs will be aggressive if they see fear, but other dogs are very
Especially if they
compassionate
fear
and
that-
will try to be.
Johnny Rooster,
Some dogs will
What
see
was
you
that?
being fearful and try to be
protective,
loving.
and also protective.
Yeah, or they'll try to be compassionate. They'll try to be affectionate to try to calm you. Dogs will do that. If I rest my head on my
Dogs are so
table,
awesome.
my dogs both will come over, one on either side, and
I love
stick
my
their
dog.
heads up underneath my arms
Oh
and
yeah,
start
they do
pushing
love your dogs.
and poking on my face, trying,
I'm like, hey, what's up? You doing
yeah,
okay?
Yeah, they're check on me.
My dog, he saw what fear I was going through and what anxiety I was going through, and he actually came up without being trained. He came up, he knew, started licking me to make me feel better because I was shaking. I was doing this type of thing, and he came up and started licking me in the fingers and the hand. He laid right beside it. He put his head on my shoulder just to let me know that, hey, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Now, learning about something is one thing, but the number one way to overcome perceived threats and perceived fears, anxieties that develop from perceived threats, you know what the number one thing is to overcome it? Exposure.
Expose it.
To be brave, to go out there and actually face the fear and expose yourself to the thing that you're afraid of.
They're
As-
cookies,
as-
not donuts.
As far as you can in a controlled way where you start to change your feeling about the thing you perceive as a threat and start to understand, hey, look, I faced this threat and walked away unharmed, completely unharmed.
That's what I had to do with the dog.
Exposure in a controlled and careful way to understand better that your fear is of a perceived threat, not an actual threat.
Yeah, and then in my case, at one point, the thing that brought on the anxiety attack or the panic attack is no longer the cause of it. The current, like where the current anxiety attack is
Symptomatic.
Symptoms causing more symptoms.
Yeah, that emerged.
It's a snowball effect, and that's why anxiety is so. And a lot of people think, "Oh, quit being a baby." It's not that easy, folks.
No.
And if you say that to somebody who's having a full-on panic attack, shame on you, because at that point in time, they have the worst fear and just sheer terror.
And they're experiencing symptoms that they should be concerned about.
Yeah.
That's what I went through during my abuse period. Is that, oh, you don't know what you're talking. Oh, wipe your mouth. You don't. Why are you drooling? Close your mouth.
Yeah.
And it was they had no
Which,
idea.
if you haven't seen that episode, I believe it's still up on axmediagroup.com. I got to get the date so that way you can see. Your testimony show was amazing.
So what next?
So what next?
Understand, I would say, what next? Learn about your symptoms and what you can do right now when you're experiencing
Assess.
it to reduce it.
Adapt and overcome.
Yes.
Exactly.
Right.
You just nailed it.
So we're going to go ahead and call it a day on this particular show because we've got Skylar Carter should be coming here directly with the Power Hour, and I hope he's bringing his mom and grandpa and grandma with him. That was a great show last week. And Johnny Rooster, I can't remember if we had plans on recording today. We're going to have to make that tomorrow. But anyways,
You had Johnny Rooster and Scooter.
because I gotta go home and get some sleep today. I'm
Johnny's got to tell the story on Morning Mouth about Scooter. Johnny, that was excellent. That was so funny. So you gotta tell that story on Morning Mouth.
You guys are making more of those?
yeah, we've got 3 in the
Archive?
in the shoot. Well, we're at episode 9 now. We've got all of them recorded. I think we're getting ready to do when we do record more. It's going to be episode 10, 11, 12. I don't know how many.
I haven't been
season
involved around here as much as I was.
Well, it's because you're also involved a lot at where you're at.
That's why.
So, all right. So let's see if I can do this right. There we go. So I'd like to thank everybody for joining us on the Morning Drive today. We'll be back on tomorrow, same time, same channel. Be sure and tune in next for the Power Hour with Skylar Carter and family. And then tonight, starting at 6:30, will be the Veterans Church with Reverend Bruce Pearson and Reverend Leo Froman. And, of course, Dr. Bob Wilkie.
Like and share these videos. Share them with somebody by name.
We'll tell the story with
That
your
helps
dad
us.
tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, we forgot about that, didn't we? Oh, that's so funny. So funny. So tune in tomorrow for... sorry, I was just reading another comment. Tune in tomorrow for a funny
morning,
story
Kim.
about...
By the way, I
Dad.
love you.
Yeah, I love you too. I saw you. Anyways, until tomorrow, my friends, God bless you and keep you. We love you. My name is Matt,
My name is Jay.
My name is Steve.
and this has been
The Morning Drive.